Tag, you're on.
Welcome back. Thank you for being there and for being here. As I used to say in Oklahoma during my college days, big old country howdy. Big old country howdy. Jim Laslavic, former linebacker, San Diego Chargers, Detroit Lions, Green Bay Packers, broadcaster for NBC in San Diego for many, many years. Uncle Teddy with you here. We, as you know, have worked together for many, many years. Haven't done a lot, haven't done anything since we left. Never really worked together, except for San Diego State football, right?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Only a handful of games, unfortunately. We did share an office, or as I like to tell people, I shared an office with your desk. Ted, your schedule was so profoundly busy with radio hits and then Padre games and this and that you would come flying in at about 10 minutes before showtime. And so I like to joke that I did share an office with Ted, actually with his desk.
It's like when Jerry Coleman roomed with Mickey Mantle. Jerry had just come back from Korea, and the Yankee executives saying, "What are we going to do about Mickey? He's chasing every skirt in New York City. I mean, they love him, and he's trying to, love them back one woman at a time, and he's drinking heavily. What do we do?" Well, it's like they did with the Mercury 7 astronauts. How John Glenn, the clean Marine, they called him, let him be in charge of the group, and he would shape them up. So they thought the same thing with Jerry, that they would, when Jerry comes back from Korea in 52, they'll put him in with Mantle, and Mantle will be, like the straight arrow. And I always asked Jerry, how did it work out? And Jerry said, well, I didn't actually room with Mickey. I roomed with his suitcase. I saw that, but I very seldom saw Mickey. And when I saw Mickey, it was coming in at about 3 or 4 in the morning with 3 or 4 of the most gorgeous women I've ever seen in my life. And I'm asleep and I need to get my rest. I'm a ball player. Mickey can be out all night and then hit 3 home runs the next day. Jerry Coleman, can't do that. And so he would wake Jerry up and say, "Hey, rooms," as a roommate, "Rooms, you want one?" Meaning one of the women. And to everlasting credit, this is so Jerry. Jerry was married to Louise, his first wife at that time, and then living in New Jersey and playing for the Yankees. And he never, ever gave in to that temptation. You know what I mean? And it's like the line by Bill Maher, Jim, where Maher says that a man's a man's fidelity is based on his options. Does he have opportunities? Then he's going to have a lot more, pull, as it were, to give in to those temptations. We're not just pigs. Men are not just pigs, and of course we are. But we're tempted. We have, as we say, God made us this way, and we hunt this. We're hunters. We hunt this all our life. And Jerry never, never, never said yes. And a line I've never told and told the public, but I'll be saying a lot of lines here in a podcast that I think I can get away with. Jerry would be teasing about that sort of thing. And I'd say, "You said no every time?" "Ted, so help me God, I never took one of those women, and I never cheated on Louise. I've never cheated on Maggie. I've never cheated on anyone." And his joke was, "Listen, Ted, you're as good a friend as I have. So when I do die, I want you to tell them on my tombstone, he did not get his fair share."
Ted,
because when you look back and think, wow, what I coulda, woulda, shoulda, might have had, and that, but I didn't. I was too good a man, and he was, and too good a husband, and he was, treasure. And too good a father. And you got to share
a broadcast booth with him. The guy was a treasure. He really was. His background, what he experienced as a player, what he did in the war, and what he did as a broadcaster, and what he did in life, as you just pointed out with that story, it made him a true treasure. And you got to share that with him.
It was incredible. And more so to me, because I get here in 1978 to work at Channel 8, only Channel 8, no radio, no nothing, in the deal 1 year, $30,000 as the sports anchor.
I saw your work. You were overpaid.
The news anchor was making $30,000. Everybody made $30,000. That was it. And I was listening to a Padre game in the office a couple of months after I got there, and I heard, and now here with the play-by-play is Jerry Coleman. And I thought, is that Jerry Coleman, the Yankee second baseman I used to watch with Phil Rizzuto playing shortstop and the Scooter at short and Jerry at second? And obviously it was. And so to have that and have the goosebump of, I used to watch that guy. And I remember he was Mickey Mantle's roommate, and he was a terrific second baseman and could turn double play like nobody. And on the great Yankee teams and 5 World Championships. And I had not met him. And then it was the year that Billy Martin was fired by Steinbrenner like 5 times. Remember that one year? And so I get his number in La Jolla, and I called. And I say, "Hey, I'm Ted Leitner. I just took over here a few months ago. Channel. I know. I watch you. And I said, can I come by and talk to you about Billy Martin, your former second base partner in Keystone Combination, who's been fired yet again, as you know, by George Steinbrenner? Sure. Come on up." And we did an interview. And Jim, what really got me was there was not one piece of Yankee memorabilia. There was not one piece of Marine memorabilia, awards, plaques, what have you. Nothing. You wouldn't know he played baseball at the major league level and was a terrific player and an all-star and an MVP of the World Series, for God's sakes, and that he ever was a fighter pilot in 2 wars, the only athlete to ever do that. And you didn't know it from his house. You didn't know it from listening to him. No, what you mentioned was I got a great Padre career, but I had 35 of those years with, and I use this all the time when I introduced him, the great Jerry Coleman, who I was not, very close to my dad. It was a different kind of guy. I won't get into that, or perhaps some other time, because some people may be in the same situation and can learn from that, of what I lived through as a kid. But Jerry was just, in terms of integrity and character, and you should see it with the national anthem. People stand up at the ballpark and they don't sing, and they're kind of sloughy, whatever. But this Marine would stand in that press box, ramrod straight, arms, as they teach you, down, and where you're supposed to be, with your hands, knuckles in, against your thighs, and would sing the national anthem like he was alone, and nobody was there in the booth. And that's just the kind of guy that he was. So to have 35 years of that, talk about blessings. My gosh.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah. We were lucky to have Jerry, but also you were a great combination.
We had a good time. And I always point people mention, they stop me at the ballpark and they always mention Jerry. And I always tell them, I remember, of course, it was never Ted and Jerry. It was always Jerry and Ted. I knew that. Never bothered me. Never bothered me to be his backup for 25 or whatever of those of my 41 years. I mean, 20, I don't know how many years of the 35 we were together. I was number 2. He was number 1, and it never bothered me.
That brings me to a question. Is it Leitner and Laz, or is it Laz and Leitner? Alphabetically, it's Laz and Leitner. Come on. But I get the feeling it's Leitner and Laz.
I've always been a big Laz and Leitner fan. You know that. I voted for Laz and Leitner. He voted for Leitner and Laz, because Jim had his ego removed at birth. The doctor actually said, "Okay, we're going in for the ego now," and they take it out of the baby. And same thing with Jerry. Jerry had his taken out at birth also. The same thing. My partner, Mr. Laslavic, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, celebrated with the lovely Susan.
Yes.
50, count them, 50 years.
Yeah.
Wedding anniversary over the weekend.
We did it the right way. We gathered with friends and had something to drink and eat and drink and celebrate. And
Jim, have a century.
My friends are saying to me, congratulations. To Susan, they're saying my condolences.
It would have been, it's a shame Harry Cosell wasn't around. And every single time that Cosell was with a group and you were with your wife or your girlfriends, especially girlfriends, Cosell would say, "Young lady, you can do better."
Yeah. What a character he was. Of all the, honestly, of all the broadcasters you ever dealt with, wasn't he has to be top of the list as the biggest character.
He was brilliant.
Yes.
He was. Well, he wrote a couple of books, and I read them both. I can't remember the actual. I think one was called "I Never Played the Game," because it clearly, as what he called the jockocracy, the former athletes were just then coming in, and that bothered him. Yeah. Never bothered me, because I had great partners, and you were one of them. So I had no problem, because they know more. I mean, there's no way that.
Okay, but yeah. No, your beef and his beef was correct at the time. If you didn't do the groundwork to prepare yourself to be in that position to take a job from somebody who had, like you did, you bounced around the minor leagues for a little while, or small markets, not the minor leagues. And so I understood that argument when you or somebody else was making it, that, well, you just can't retire and then the next year be on Channel 8 or something like that. So, I worked at it. I went back to school. I took some postgraduate classes, and I did some internships, and I got part-time work, and I did some radio, and I thought I was ready, and I wasn't. But you have a good point, though, and I can understand why that jockocracy.
He hated it. He just hated it, but he was wrong. Because as much as he thought he knew football, or I might think I knew football, whatever. If you got a guy who played the game, and I see it, and I know it, and I accepted it early on, that you think you know something. I played a little bit of high school football, doesn't mean a damn thing. And when you have someone who, and I saw this with you, I saw with Richie Ornberger when I did Aztec football with him. I mean, the depth of the knowledge of a player. No non-playing broadcaster can touch that with a 50-foot pole. And his ego would not accept that. And he was very difficult on his partners because of that, and was brutal on Frank Gifford, who he literally would tell reporters, Frank is lost. Frank is a terrible play-by-play guy. And then they're in the booth, come Monday night. I mean, his ego, he did a lot for sports. The idea that I could go on Channel 8 years ago and do a commentary, and as an example, I did a commentary that Shaq Harris got all this criticism, and I couldn't think of any reason why, except he was black. I literally could not. He has a terrific talent, and the gist of my commentary was, I think it's racism. And it's not a mistake that quarterbacks have not been centers. They haven't been, in many cases, middle linebackers, because you got to think. You're the captain of the defense and all that stuff. And you couldn't be a center, you couldn't be a quarterback. That was National Football League practice in total inherent racism, pure and simple. Cosell fought against all that. He didn't just fight for Muhammad Ali's rights to be a conscientious objector of the war. And how legitimate that was, I'm not able to say.
Right.
But Cosell blazed a path to where idiots like me can go on the air and do a commentary and not be fired. You would have been probably 10 years before Cosell. So he really pushed the envelope, as the astronauts used to say, and had the guts to fight unpopular ideals. And there's no question, Roone Arledge would get calls from the head up, Leonard Goldenson, who ran ABC, and say, I want you to fire Cosell. He said this, he said that. Advertisers are driving me crazy. They're canceling. They're threatening to cancel. Get rid of them. And then ABC, when the talent, as they called it, went on strike, their union went on strike, and Cosell was on the picket line, and Arledge saw him. And Arledge literally said to one of his aides, remind me to fire Cosell tomorrow. He's out there, he's getting all the attention because he's Howard Cosell, and he's telling all the stuff, and he's badmouthing ABC. I'm tired of it. So he came this close. And Arledge changed his mind. History could have been very, very different for about the last half year of his career, last half dozen years of his career. But he was
interesting.
Pompous, and on one of those books I mentioned, he starts out, people say I'm arrogant, obnoxious, and egotistical. I am, of course, all of those things. That's how the book starts.
His book or your book?
No, his book. Good question, Jim. Oh, that hurt. See how quick Jim is? See, it's guys like Jim that slip the needle in so quickly and so delicately, like a surgeon, that you don't really feel it when it first comes in. Are you talking about you or Howard Cosell? That was brilliant. That was brilliant.
Howard was a national treasure.
Mm-hmm.
Thank goodness he passed.
I can barely hear you, Jim. I got full volume here, but I really have to concentrate to go like this to hear you. So
I will speak up, Ted.
That's good, Jim. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I have closed caption too.
Show sponsor.
I can't read that.
Nice. Oh, you can't.
It's holding up a sign as if I could see.
Your sponsor.
I know. Where was I? In the middle of. Oh, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, tell us about the 50-year anniversary and what you guys did.
Well, we gathered with some friends and we told some stories and we had some fun and some laughs. The kids were here. My son flew in from New York City, which was, pretty special. It was just good to see everybody and line them all up. Unfortunately, my brother who lives in Pittsburgh couldn't be here. He was my best man, obviously. Yeah. And Susan's brother was in the wedding too, and he couldn't be with us. But we did celebrate with a lot of friends, and it was just nice to see folks get together, reminisce about all the years I've been in San Diego. I got here in 1978. You mentioned 78 in one of your comments a while back, It was an amazing year. I was traded from the Lions to the Chargers, and that's life changing. You go from the Midwest playing for the Detroit Lions to all of a sudden out here in God, it's a beautiful country, great people,
Yes.
Great support for the Chargers.
True.
A little different attitude on the field than maybe we had playing in the Silver Dome or an old Tiger Stadium, and Susan was a big part of my adjustment to all that. So yeah,
Where'd you meet Susan? I don't know this. When did you? Where and when did you meet Susan?
Okay, typing class in high school. My Uncle George was the typing class teacher. And when I'd make a mistake, I would ball up the paper, and Susan was like 2 rows in front of me, and I'd throw it and hit the back of her head.
Love at first sight.
Oh, what an idiot. But I was just flirting a little bit, and Uncle George didn't mind. He thought it was kind of charming, I guess, or he just ignored me. Can you believe my uncle? And Susan's aunt was our science teacher. So it was like, if you did anything wrong, our parents found out about it.
I have to ask this because I think I've made it clear. I wish I hadn't, because it's not funny. And Johnny Carson always did that, but he was Johnny Carson. I'm a nobody. But he would talk about his divorces and do divorce jokes and all that stuff. And I did that, not on television. I don't think I ever did it on TV. I did it on my radio shows where it's a talk show. You're just going on and on, free form like now, just no script. And I would talk about it and make jokes about it, but it's not funny, especially with children. And it's abhorrent to me, abhorrent. I look back at when I left my one of my wives, and I came to pick up my 2-year-old. I'll try to get through this if I can. And he said to me, "Where you go?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just in a different place. I'm in a different place, but I'll see you all the time." And when he said to me, "Where you go?" it broke my heart. And I realized what you've done is impacted not just your wife. You've left your kids. And as much as you try to be with them, and I did, but I did travel and did a lot of work and so forth. And I've talked to them as adults, and they do hold that against me, that I was not there, and they wanted me there. And I was asked to do additional work, and I took on that work. And interestingly enough, one of my sons left his job last week because they had promised him during the interview situation at a financial institution in Los Angeles, when he said, "Look, I have to be with my kids a lot. I'm divorced, and I have to be with my kids a lot. So is that okay in terms of flexibility to be with them and get them ready for school and then pick them up at school and so forth and be home for dinner and make them dinner?" And they said, "Yeah, we don't have set hours." Well, that's the recruiter who was doing the interviewing, but that's not the boss. So he gets in there for the first couple of days, and the boss says, "Oh, no, we have set hours. You have to be here by 9:30 and you have to stay till 6. Well, Miss So-and-so said that no, she's wrong. And so I was so proud of him that he quit.
Wow.
After a week or so of this job, because his children were more important, that was the priority. And I didn't have that. I took on more jobs. I traveled. I combined the Padres and the Aztecs and the Chargers and television and talk shows and speeches and all that stuff. And I could have turned that down. I could have turned a lot of it down to be with them more, and I didn't do it. And I was so proud of him for saying that, knowing he didn't say that's my priorities. He just told me I can't. I just cannot be at work at 6 thinking about my children and not being there for dinner. It's impossible at this time in my life. So I'm so proud.
That's a wonderful story, but it does remind me that when we would sit in the office waiting for you to arrive at Channel 8 for the evening sportscast, we would say, "Where does Ted go?" You would arrive 5 minutes before your hit. You would sit down and you knew exactly what you were going to say, and you would ad lib it for your Leitner Strikes segment. And then you had 20 minutes to prepare your 25 minutes to prepare your sportscast. Ted, that was
I never mentioned this to you. You mentioned that before. Yeah. You said earlier in the show that Ted would come rolling in like 5 minutes before. That was by design. That was by design. When I had decided to get rid of my script after I left Oklahoma City to go to Hartford, then Philadelphia, and San Diego, I decided, if you're going to ad lib it, I want pressure. I want pressure on me. And I will prepare all week, and I'll prepare all day, because if you don't have all that you've read or whatever, or listened to with other shows or what have you, if you don't have that, you can't ad lib it. And so I would prepare constantly. And that also took me away from paying attention to the kids when I had the kids. Because I've got, a morning radio show, 7:15, 8:15, and 5:15, and a 2-hour talk show from 3 to 5. And then the sports at 5:20, 5:40, and then 6:30 television. Then go to the ballpark, do the Padre game, then come back and do the 11. And this was my life, and I didn't complain about it. I was doing well and successful, and I was fine. But it really was time that I spent preparing. Was time when I should have been giving them more attention. And I was young and stupid. I'm still stupid, but I'm not young. And I have apologized to them that I wasn't there when they needed me. But the fact that my son knows, no, the kids come first. And it's just like my brother used to tell me, who's a psychologist. He said, Ted, you can't be totally worthless. You can always be a warning to others. And that was the same thing. My sons did have a role model. They looked at me and knew to do the opposite, that to be there for their kids. And they do. They're all like that. They're all like that. They're there for their kids. And only 2 of them have children, of my 7 children. And so they really did. They got a good role model. I wasn't one, but they are the opposite. Their time with their kids.
That's good to hear too.
Everything. And I probably didn't teach them that, but they certainly taught me, and they teach me now based on that. Can I talk about? I said I couldn't hear you well, which is true. I do want to mention that Leitner with Lattice is brought to you in part by Starkey. Starkey, formerly Beltone in San Diego, which is a monstrously terrific part of my life. And I went 2 years. If you have hearing problems, and I know many of you my age or younger have hearing problems, and I did the same thing you've probably done. I went 2 years, and I'd be on the Padre charter, and I'd be what with the jet engine noise and talking across the way to the guys and so forth, and I could not hear, but it was vanity. It was vanity. I was still fairly young, and in the dating pool. And you think I want 2 hearing aids hanging out of my ears, look like some old man? No. So and then a doctor told me, an ENT, that when the brain doesn't hear these words, it forgets these words, and it leads to dementia. It makes dementia worse, and so forth and so on. So I went and bought some cheapos, which were a joke. And then I got a call from Jason Karpatakis, who owns this Starkey company in Minnesota, and I had used him for Beltone. In fact, before I forget it, the website, the email address is beltonelamesa@gmail.com. beltonelamesa@gmail.com. Though he's moved on from Beltone to a much, no offense to Beltone, a much greater product in Starkey. When I heard the difference, it was like these are a symphony orchestra. It's absolutely amazing, not just volume, but to make sure there's no more distortion. And you can set through your phone and the app that you can hear it for restaurant, where it will stop the ambient noise from interfering with you. You'll hear just the people at your table. Set it for television to hear television better. Set it for just you talking to Laz, like right here. Don't put it off. It's dangerous to do that. And go to someone who has been so terrific to me in terms of what I need, adjustments, and so forth, and we'll do the very same for you. That is Starkey. What a great pair of hearing aids. I wish I didn't need them, but my parents had hearing problems. I wish my hair was brown, but my mom was prematurely gray in her 30s. So it is what it is, and you look older, but don't hide from it. Don't hide from it. beltonelamesa@gmail.com.
Yeah, this is my big concern. Okay. Best states for sports lovers. I came across this week.
Yes.
Come on, really? You're not going to believe the top 5. Ohio, New York, Illinois, California, Indiana. You can't really argue with those.
Top 5 for?
Best states for sports lovers.
Oh, please.
Love to follow sports, and whether professional or amateur or college. So Ohio, New York, Illinois, California, Indiana.
Where's Ohio? What are we talking about? The Cleveland Browns?
You have the Cincinnati
the Cleveland
Reds,
Indians? You have Cleveland Guardians, whatever?
You have Cleveland. You have some major sports franchises in Ohio. I can understand that, but Pennsylvania is the same way. New York is pretty special when it comes to sports. Colorado is number 7, which is a little surprising, but not because of how much they love or not love their sports, but because there are fewer franchises than there are in states like Pennsylvania or New York. The bottom 5, the bottom 4, okay? Arkansas, New Mexico, Alaska, and Hawaii.
You could take those. It's like Chris Rock always said. God never makes mistakes. So he said to me, God never makes mistakes. And Chris Rock says, "Have you been to Arkansas?" And as Chris Rock says, you know what they say in Mississippi, don't you? Thank God for Arkansas in terms of the grades. And
yes. Yeah. Okay, so everything's bigger and better in Texas. Texas got ranked 20th.
I beg your pardon?
20th for Texas. I'm surprised.
That's crazy.
And
first of all, those polls, it's just the polls are so, I think polls do what they're supposed to do. They create conversation and debate and all that stuff. Right. But I mean, if you've been in Fenway Park for a ball game and then been to the Patriots games, and I did Charger broadcasts in fact, I never mentioned this to you. When I was doing the Charger play-by-play, we went into New England and Bledsoe was hurt. And this guy named Tom Brady started his first game ever.
Whatever
against the Chargers in the old Gillette. And they're actually building the new one right yonder at that time. And I watched Brady, this whatever 7th or whatever draft choice he was out of Michigan. And he was good. And whatever happened to him? He had a decent career, I thought. But I'd seen the Patriot fans and know what they're like. And this is simply amazing. Even at one of the Patriot parades, when they won the Super Bowl, just spontaneously, this huge parade with 1 million people in Boston, and had the duck boats that all the players were riding in on the street. And in the middle of the Patriot parade, this incredible chant comes out: "Yankees suck! Yankees suck!" Now these people take it so. I mean, it's God, sports, country. I don't know. Maybe sports is their number one. But I mean, Massachusetts and New York, the way they are for their fans, or the way their fans act, and that kind of thing. I mean, I've always thought Chicago. I mean, the Cub fans, even when they sucked in the 60s and 70s, they packed that place and sold it out at 33,000 every day in Texas. I mean, Texas football and the attendance for the Astros and the Rangers. I think that poll is bad.
Well, you know, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia had great rivalries, and then all of a sudden, Philadelphia is no longer in the same division, the same league, and then they changed everything with the Steelers and the Eagles and all that other stuff. In California, the college system out here is phenomenal. I think the level of play and the number of institutions and the rivalries, I love them. It's just great to watch them all in action.
Yeah, the only difference, see, New York does not have better fans than San Diego. And like I've said before, I'm retired. I've had my career. And those of you who are out there who are watching today gave me that career. And I am forever grateful. I am forever grateful for that. Because I don't care who you are or how good you think you are, unless the fans listen, view you on television, read you in the newspaper, if that's what you're nothing. You're nothing. And I thank you all for the career I've had. Amen. But so I can say this. Padre fans are just as excited and in love with their club. The only difference is it never gets quiet in Yankee Stadium. It never gets quiet in Boston. I was at a couple of games with the Dodgers, last homestand, a Dodger game and a Phillies game. And there were times where I would say to the guy that I was with, "Hey, Rob, listen, there's hardly any noise. There's not much happening. Pitcher has the ball, hasn't been delivered. The ball's not in play. And there's a lull there." In Fenway Park in Yankee Stadium, that never happens. Yeah. All the old stuff of like, we need some chatter here, where players used to say, "Pitcher, no batter, hey, no batter here, and you're a bum, hey, you're a bum." That din, that running commentary, that stuff, the dissing, the insults, the yells, and the writing of players from the old days, that still happens in those places. Yeah. I mean, it does.
Good point.
In San Diego, they were there for the gas lamp. They're there for what the Padres call the ballpark experience. People love the ballpark. They love the food. It's so much better than the merchandising in almost every park in America. And all this is true. And the prices are still in line. They're not Yankee and Boston and Chicago prices. But the only difference, and it's not a knock. It's just they're in there. They're relaxed. They're watching a ball game, and they're not at the edge of their seat. Just so crazy about it. But they are. They are. I used to call when the guys are left here, Mike D. and Sammy, who's now the CEO, Sammy Kennedy of the Red Sox. and Lucchino and all those guys. And after the Padre game, I would call them, and I'd hear the crowd, and I'd say, "Yeah, I can't hear you guys." And Mike D would say, "Ted, in Fenway, every game's a playoff game. It's just that noise, that the thing. It's the Red Sox are a thing in New England. You remember when they first won after 100 years of not winning? Just when people had those T-shirts that said, 'They killed my father. Now they're coming after me.'" And that was a newspaper guy who patented that and made great money until they won that first series under Theo Epstein and Larry Lucchino and all those guys. And no, the Padre. I'll put the Padre fans. Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. Padres outdrew everybody but the Yankees last year. Outdrew the Mets and the Yankees with 11 plus million in the New York area.
Wow.
I mean, that's just unbelievable. That's Padre fans. But the atmosphere of the ballpark is different. They're not as frenetic. They're not crazy. They're not so into it. That maybe it's too much in those other cities. And I enjoy that. I enjoy that because when the playoffs came against the Dodgers, and I was in the stands, and they started getting up on every 2-strike count. That started when Guidry pitched in the 70s for the Yankees. That's where that began, when he had a 26-win season, I believe it was. And I hate that because I'm older and I can have a herniated disc and I can't get up very well and my balance is no good. So every time Padres had 2 strikes, I'm standing up and I can't even get up. So I sit down, and people probably think I'm a bad fan. But that kind of thing happens during the playoffs. It doesn't happen. It happens at every single Yankee game. They stand up with 2 strikes on them. Yeah. Up, down, up, down, up, down. People say it's like the Catholic Church. It's like a service of the Catholic Church. Kneel up, kneel up, kneel up. Same thing at a ball game. I don't want to do that in a ball game. I don't want to do that in a ball game. So it's
okay, I have experience
with fans.
I have experience with the Catholic Church part of it, not you. So I understand the up, down, up, down, up, down.
Oh gosh.
So yeah, my first major league experience was getting on a bus in my hometown and going to 10 miles down to Forbes Field in Oakland to watch the Pirates play. And it's almost like instantaneously you become a baseball fan when you have that experience of sitting there and I'm whatever, 9 or 10 at the time, maybe 8 or 9. And I'm amongst, at that time, probably 18,000 people, which was probably a huge crowd for Pittsburgh at the time. And watching the guys play. And then, shortly after that, a couple months later, they go on to win the World Series. And hooked for life on baseball. And my favorite teams have changed over the years, but I still follow the Pirates, still follow the Tigers, and still follow the Padres. And I still have trouble with the Dodgers. Like a lot of San Diegans.
Did you go to Ford Fields on a regular basis?
Well, not on a regular basis, but our little league would go every year. We'd get a bus full of little leaguers to go, and we'd sit out there with about 1,000 other little leaguers and cheer and scream and all that other stuff. Not so much that I went that often, but I would watch the games, listen to them, and that kind of stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Did I ever tell you that Willie Stargell threatened to beat the hell out of me?
Really? And he could.
Yes. It was a case of misidentification.
Yeah.
It was family day with the Pirates in Three Rivers Stadium, and I won't mention the Padre broadcaster, but this particular Padre broadcaster was talking to Willie's wife for a long time.
Yeah,
and I don't know how the conversation went. I really don't. But afterwards, still on the field, as I'm going upstairs, Willie Stargell goes up to Jerry and says, "I'm going to kick your partner's ass, and you tell him so." And Jerry says, "My partner? Ted Leitner?" He said, yeah. And Willie thought that another Padre broadcaster on television, I was on radio with Jerry, was me. He got the names mixed up. He thought that guy was me. And he said, "You tell that son of a, that he hustles my wife again or talks to my wife like that again during family day, I'm going to kick his ass." So Willie brings him over, and he says, "I'm starting to walk toward the dugout and then take the tunnel up to the press box." And Wilver says, "That's Ted right there." "No, it's not him. It's not him. This other guy." And I thought, "Jeez."
Wow.
You knew how big Wilver was.
Well, he was one of the more impressive ball players. He had that great size and great strength, and he put it to good use.
and character and integrity and true leadership. That stature of his that's on somebody say walk this way. I forget, third or first base side.
Right.
They got Hannes Wagner out there. They got Willie, and Willie's is a little crouch, and the statue is done so beautifully, and it's so huge. I mean, the thing is like 8 feet tall, just like Willie was.
Well, Clemente's out there too, I'm sure. Clemente's out there too. That was a pretty good triumvirate of trio of all-time great players to play for your franchise.
Yeah, I love those pirate teams, and it's horrible with a historic franchise like that, with Forbes Field and Mazeroski and beating the Yankees in '60 and all that stuff. They're better now with Skeens and then getting some pitching for a change. They don't have the money they never have under any ownership, but it's good for baseball when the Pirates are same with the Cubs. That when those teams are good, it's really good for baseball. And I used to love with Dave Parker, huge, Willie Stargell. I mean, just a great. The Lightning and Lumber Company and We Are Family. It was simply wonderful.
Parker would crush the baseball. Parker would crush the baseball. It was just a joy to watch. He was quiet too. He didn't say much, did he? He just performed. Good
teams. And I told him I had Dave Parker on the minicam at Channel 8 one time before the 5 o'clock news, and he came over. And during the course of the interview, I noticed he was wearing a Star of David, the Jewish symbol, Star of David. And I interrupted the next question because I noticed it. I said, David, how come you wear a Star of David? And he said, and I quote, because my name is David and I'm a star. And I laughed, and this was live with the minicam, and I just thought it was wonderful. Some of those live interviews, with the old live shot thing, and we did that a lot. We did that a lot at 5 o'clock, and I had a great time with players. It was wonderful. I remember, just flew out of my head, Gaylord Perry. I was very close with Gaylord Perry when he was given a day after he won the Cy Young Award in 78, I guess, and they gave him this custom-built, really oversized, because Gaylord was a big old boy, big old country boy. Yes, and they gave him an oversized, handmade rocking chair. It was beautiful. And we get done with the ceremony, and I'm the MC. And as I'm walking off with Gaylord, he says, "You want it?" "What?" "The rocking chair." I don't want it." He just gave it to him. I just gave it to him. And I said, "Sure, I'll take it." And so I asked somebody, a couple of kids, to take it into the clubhouse for me. And I had it for years until I lost it in a divorce settlement.
Really?
Gaylord would smack me right in the mouth, were he alive today, for losing that rocking chair. But those live 5 o'clock things were great, because I had Gaylord on one time in one of those bad teams when he was every fifth day it was him and not much else in terms of pitching. And he won the Cy Young. You won the Cy Young like Randy Jones. When you win a Cy Young on a bad team, you've really pitched your what off. And during the course of the interview, I asked Gaylord about this Padre team. And he said, this team, Ted, has a very good bench. The problem is it starts every day. That's like you. Stick the needle in like a scalpel. You don't really feel it. Sounds legitimate when you hear it. And then you think about, he means they're starting bench type players every day because they have no players. And then you start to think about it later. He was wonderful. Wonderful.
Oh, some great characters passed through this town. That's for sure.
Yeah, man. We should spend a minute or two and then go bye-bye on my Padres as they are presently constituted. I was on a Padres roundtable on The Fan the other day, the Padres station, with Ben and Woods and Chris Ello and the Braden Shaprenant and guys like that. And it was a great hour, but it was concerning because they can't hit. And obviously with Nick out and Joe Musgrove out, that's huge. I mean, Musgrove is just one of those guys. I remember the first game I ever did for the Padres against him in Pittsburgh at Three River Stadium. He just competed his ass off. He was just terrific. And I thought I never had met him at that time. And I did later and thought, boy, this guy competes. He's like the Tiger Woods of baseball. He just flat out competes and is so terrific. Doesn't have to chatter and then talk. It's all.
Wait. Didn't you feel that way about Ken Caminiti?
Oh, absolutely.
What a competitor he was.
Oh, unbelievable. No, a warrior. After the Persian Gulf, I stopped using that term warrior because they're not warriors. They're ball players.
Right.
They're ball players. They're not heroes. They're ball players. So I don't use that warriors or bombs for home run or stuff like that. I think we all started to adjust that after the Persian Gulf and during the Persian Gulf War. But without Joe, Darvish is gone. Without Joe, you got Pivetta, who's been hurt, and some marvelous moments from King. It's difficult. But then you look at the lineup, and they just don't hit. They just don't hit. And Manny has got the lowest average in the majors right now, or the National League. It doesn't matter. And I got to tell you, through all my 41 years, Tatis and Manny are two of my absolute all-time favorites. And I've had great relationships with them all since they got here. And it hurts me to see this. It does, especially now I'm just a fan. I don't work for the Padres anymore. And I had a wonderful time doing that. And it's just Tatis in terms of his numbers on the pull side. When your bat slows in this day and age, 20 years ago it was bad. But when your bat is slow now and you're not pulling the fastball, and look at his pull side numbers, when every team's got at least 4 relievers throwing 105 miles an hour, it seems, and starters going 97, 98, you can't get around on that fastball. You have trouble. And he finally hit the first home run in Philadelphia, I guess it was. And that's a concern. And then the only guys that were hitting were Andujar and Sheets, and now Andujar's in a slump. So that's a collective slump. I don't believe, as we talked about on The Fan, that it's going to be this way all year, because I don't. For a while, it was only Andujar and Sheets, but this can't go on. It just can't go on. But the pitching is so good now that I think slumps individually and group are exacerbated because the pitching's never been better in the history of Major League Baseball.
I think there should be an old-timers game for broadcasters, and they should get you back in the booth at least one series a year, if not more, just to talk. Just maybe not 9 innings, Ted. Maybe not 9.
Maybe not 9.
Maybe 3 innings, and have Ted up there to
Jim
express himself.
The little baseball is really fast. Comes off that bat, as we know now, at about 110 miles an hour.
I'm going to sing "I Dog" for you. It's not a problem. We'll find something next year.
Remember my eyes. What's wrong with your eyes, Ted? They're weak. They're weak. Remember when that reporter asked Charlie Joyner, what's wrong with your knees? And you always talk about your knees. What's wrong with them? And Charlie, who I love, said, they're old, man. They're old. That's what's wrong with my knees. Same thing with my eyes. Oh, man. But I really am. I'm concerned because they'll be my team forever. Like I said, I don't work for the Padres. I'll never have a bad word to say about them. I've lived and died. They've been a giant part of my 41 years, half my life. And most of my adult life has been as a Padre broadcaster or ambassador. Sure. I have been so lucky. They weren't all winning teams. Yeah. But I love it.
We were lucky too. Lucky to have you expressing yourself and pointing things out to us from time to time as to what the heck is going on here. Ted, I guess we're out of time.
No, we can't. We can go on as long as we want.
Oh, okay.
We're done. We're done. We're done. I thank you all for listening. Go Padres. Your prayer beads or your rabbit's foot or whatever. Long way to go. Not even to the halfway mark. Not even close. Excuse me. And we'll tell more stories, more lies when we join you again next Wednesday at 4. For our producer, Joe Nelson, he's Producer Joe. You can sign up for his podcast when you get information and get the link and all that stuff. For us, he's the reason we're able to do this show. And I thank Joe very much. He gets us on the air, gets us off the air, keeps us on the air. That's not a small thing, because without that, it's like no listeners, no viewers. Without the producer, you ain't got nothing. So thank you, Joe. Thank you, Les.
Thank you.
Happy anniversary to Susan, too.
Your questions in the future, everybody who's watching and wants to express an opinion or have a question for us, we're still finding our stride here. But yeah, we'll get to some more questions next time too.
Yeah, we'll get more questions. I've told Jim I'm a work in progress. I do have word hemorrhages, and it's like Jeff Morride told me one day when he first took over and he listened to me. You don't talk in sentences. You talk in paragraphs. Jeff, I know. I was like a mute. I never spoke as a kid because I knew nothing, and I was very shy, believe it or not. So I'm kind of making up for it. I apologize. I am working on this, so I don't talk while Les, can go wash his car, get a snack, come back, and I'm still talking. And so I apologize for that. I'm working on that. We'll take more phone calls and get you involved in the show as we come back, as I mentioned, the next Wednesday at 4. For Joe and for Les. Thank you so much. Have a good day.